Internet vigilantism seems to be a popular, if not misguided, profession. Oftentimes, the people who put themselves on this pedestal of being predator hunters, pedo busters, expose journalists, presenting the abuse and wrongdoings of individuals for the court of public opinion, do little more than shield those people from ever seeing any real consequences for their actions. And further still, there are some who choose to do this merely so that they can feel justified in being the most reprehensible people on Earth. The subject of today's video, in my personal opinion, has chosen this style of content not for any noble reasons to help out victims, but rather so that they can gain power over others and enact the most depraved and reprehensible behaviors while feeling justified in doing so. They have used their platform to mock people's traumatic abortions, to tell underage rape victims to record themselves getting raped, to then convincing that same underage rape victim to move in with him and act as bait as he does his predator hunting videos, to creating Discord servers whose sole purpose is to drag people into voice calls so that those people can be abused and harassed by everyone in the server, to doxing literal children and calling their parents and teachers on them to tell them the online behaviors of these random kids he surrounds himself with online. And yet somehow he's convinced a large subsect of people that he has somehow changed, despite not changing the environment he puts himself in, not changing his style of content, and not changing his behavior in any significant way. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing Lio Convoy. So grab your tickets to this 3-ring Barnum and Bailey circus, because today we are whipping the lions. My faith at an early age, because rage like this doesn't come without a few marks. Before we begin, I believe some proper introductions are in order. Lio Convoy has worn many different hats here on YouTube, seemingly gravitating from one community to the next. The earliest videos that could be found on his channel seem to be disconnected rants. He had also uploaded videos reviewing toys and cartoons from the 80s like Thundercats, though even still at this beginning stage of his channel you can see he has a preference for internet drama. From what I can gather, the first well-known instance of Lio dipping his toes into the slop comes from a controversy within the toy review community between two channels, one of which named Denobi and the other named Retro Blasting. To summarize this as briefly as possible, because I really do not care about grown men playing with Star Wars toys, Hasbro had this program where you could campaign for collector sets to be brought out by the company. A bunch of people were backing a Star Wars sail barge one. Retro Blasting came out and publicly criticized the campaign. Denobi makes a video in which he states that Retro Blasting is sabotaging this Star Wars campaign. A year later, Retro Blasting is reviewing the Star Wars sail barge, saying that he got it from a viewer in Australia named Brent. Nobody, including Denobi, believes him. Denobi makes a video calling Retro Blasting out for potentially lying, and in response, Retro Blasting straight up doxes him. This being a bridge too far, the two men talk off-screen to each other, resolve their issues, and they both decide to delete the videos they made on each other. So you might be wondering, where does Lio fit into this? It seems as though the drama started without him, escalated without him, and was promptly concluded without him. Well, you see, even after this drama had died, like a vulture to a rotting pile of refuse, Lio decides to make a video of his own, defending not the person who was doxed, but the doxer. And in Lio Convoy's rant against Denobi, he doxes him again. And I truly believe that this first major controversy is emblematic of all of the problematic things Lio has done since. In Leo's mind, it is perfectly justifiable, if not moral, to not only go after Denobi, but to dox him for the crime of having an opinion that Lio disagrees with. And this is something that Lio would carry with him into his next venture into new content. In the beginning, I had mentioned that Lio runs Discord servers whose main functionality is to dogpile and bully children. The first of which was known as the Senate. From what I can gather researching this, the Senate was a cesspool of absolute insanity and harassment. It is so inspiring to me as an example of what not to do on the internet that I decided to make my own Discord server called the House of Representatives, linked down below. On February 22nd, 2022, one of these calls in the Senate was uploaded to a YouTube channel called Kraken Serafina. In this call, Lio is attempting to break up a fight between two of the server members, one named Dreadful Jax Games and the other named Nora. Lio begins by yelling "shut up" at Jax, to which Jax responds, "Who the fuck's Lio?" Lio then asks, "Jax, how old are you?" Jax responds, 15, man. What, do you think I'm scared of you?" To which Lio responds, "You probably should be." This is a 40-something-year-old man telling a 15-year-old, "You should be scared of me." Jax responds, "I should be? Well, give me a few reasons." And I just gotta say, that is some excellent bait, because if you want someone like Lio Convoy to say some incriminating shit, I don't think you could construct a sentence more perfect than that. Lio says, "Well, number one, I can figure out really quickly where a kid lives based on a picture." Which is so creepy. Jax responds, "Oh yeah, so just come to my house. I live in a gated neighborhood and I have guns." Lio responds, "Hey retard," and it is at this point that the audio is completely unintelligible as Jax starts being very loud, trolling the fuck out of these people.
That's like super fucking funny, man. You have no balls.
Jax,
shit,
shut up!
What the fuck's Lio?
Jax, how old are you?
How
I'm
is he
Lio,
involved?
and how old
15.
are you?
15, man. Well, you think I'm scared of you?
Oh, you
No,
don't
but
know.
you probably
don't
should
know
be.
yet.
I should be. Give me a few reasons.
Well, number one, I can figure out I can figure out very quickly where a kid lives by their photo, and I'm pretty sure you probably got one running around.
Oh, yeah, you come to my house. I live in a gang neighborhood and I have guns, so...
No, I'm
You
not
pull
worried.
up, I'll just shoot you.
Hey, retard.
Oh,
hey,
call me
faggot.
retard one time, fucking pussy. I'm a
This is
retard, my name's Lio!
This is literally fatherless activity. Your dad ain't at home, is he?
Oh, yeah, I have milk in my fridge, actually, so... Unlike you. Look,
You
I
cut out
understand
there.
your
Can you
dad
repeat
left you
yourself?
at a young age and no one loves you, man. And look, I know you're
Really?
worth nothing,
My dad
completely
left me.
nothing.
Projection.
Oh, yeah.
Projection is fine.
Son, you're projecting. You're projecting and you're very bad at it. So why don't you sit down, calm down, and we can talk. Okay?
I don't know how he's involved in the situation.
And up until this point, this already is extremely pathetic. This adult man is threatening to find out where this child lives and come to this child's house. And when this child is shown to not be intimidated by this, he then starts arguing with the kid and throwing around fatherless insults. I just gotta ask, how do you hear this back and not feel horrifically embarrassed about yourself? This call was posted by someone who is friends with Lio, so they listened back on this and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna make me look cool." And this all paints Lio in a pathetic light already for me, but it gets so much worse because Lio then threatens to call this kid's school and make a fake school shooter report.
I'm not worried about some dumb 15-year-old making threats about firearms. If I want to ruin your life, I'll just call your school and tell them you made the threat, and you won't get anywhere in life. You want to play this game? We can play that game.
You threatened to find out where this kid lives and to go to his house. And when that kid said, "Alright, come to my house, I'll just put a bullet in your skull," your man-child response is to threaten to call his school and make a fake school shooter report. What a fucking loser. You threatened this kid first. It doesn't matter if he threatened you back. You threatened him first. I'm from Florida where we have stand your ground laws, so if I was in this call in Jax's position, I probably would have said the exact same fucking thing. You threatened to dox a child because they were annoying you. And even worse still, on June 26th, 2023, we would get an update to this story where Lio on a call would admit that he followed through with his threat to make a fake school shooter report to Jax's school. Lio says, we tried to get him to stop beefing with some other dumb kid. I hop in the call, and Jax loses his mind and threatens to shoot me. Threatens to do all this. I couldn't call his parents because they're deaf, which is why he gets away with all of this nonsense. So instead I call his school, because as you know, Pizza, that we live in the United States of America, where school shootings are very common. And the last thing I want is this idiot to pop off his mouth about being in gangs, and how he's hurt people and how he has guns, only to find out kid went psycho and killed people. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that is, to put it mildly, a mischaracterization of how that call went. I find it interesting that Lio remembers this in a way that makes him seem like a righteous, noble, good Samaritan who's looking out for people. It's also very convenient that he didn't mention he threatened Jax first, or that the majority of the call is immature ad hominem attacks that lead absolutely nowhere.
What happened with him? He was pulled into call independently, not given any roles, to try to get him to stop beefing with some other dumb kid. I hop in the call and Jax loses his mind, threatens to shoot me, threatens to do all this. Couldn't call his parents because they're deaf, which is why he gets away with this nonsense. So instead I called his school. Because as you know, Pizza, we live in the United States of America, where school shootings are pretty common. And the last thing I want is to have this idiot pop off his mouth about how he's been in gangs and how he's hurt people and how he has guns and do nothing, only to find out, the kid went psycho and killed people.
These are the lies of omission and mental gymnastics that Lio ties himself in knots over in order to justify his indefensible and reprehensible actions as somehow moral. All this kid did was annoy Lio Convoy. And because of that, that was justification in Leo's tiny mind that it was then okay to dox this kid and make a false report to his school, with the goal not of securing the safety of the other students at said school, but rather petty revenge to, in his own words, ruin a 15-year-old's life.
If I want to ruin your life, I'll just call your school and tell them you made the threat and you won't get anywhere in life. You want to play this game? We can play that game.
And again, I don't want to hear from people that Lio has somehow changed, because this literally happened 2 years ago, and on top of that, he is still threatening people to this day. On August 1st of this year, Lio Convoy had participated in a public VC where the bulk of the people participating in the call were dogpiling on another content creator by the name of Dreamer. I think their channel name is Dreamer Null CC. I was interested to find out that I had actually seen this person's content before when I was researching my previous video on Courtney Pete and Bonk. At the time, I didn't really put much of my attention into watching Dreamer's video, as within the first 5 minutes I had found it to not present any relevant info I didn't already have from other sources. There is not a wealth of context known for the purposes of this call before the parts that got recorded were recorded, but from what I can gather, it seems as though many people were displeased at Dreamer for covering Courtney Pete whilst excusing another content creator by the name of Psy Scribbles. The alleged misconduct of Psy that Dreamer is accused of covering up is the claim that Psy had posted links to a fanfiction known as Stockholm to minors. For those of you who don't know, Stockholm is an infamous fanfiction in the Brony community created by Lily Orchard, also known as Lily Pete or CD Call, where several of the main characters of the My Little Pony cartoon are depicted as pedophilic molesters. The argument that people make right off the bat is, Dreamer, you are not the correct person to be covering this if you let Psy get away with this shit. I don't understand this argument at all, as Dreamer at least had screenshots and evidence for the Courtney Pete stuff, and from what could be inferred from the call, he didn't have any evidence about the Psy stuff that these people were alleging. I myself don't even know the context behind this allegation that Psy is posting Stockholm to minors, but this will become much more relevant in just a moment. The strongest point of contention seems to be that Dreamer had claimed that Lio swept for Courtney. This is based on the fact that Lio had not released the information brought to him about Courtney Pete. So the argument is then thrown onto Dreamer for not covering the Psy allegations, despite the fact that supposedly logs of Psy's Discord server exist, and people refuse to give those logs to Dreamer to confirm that, thus he should just take their word on it.
Because I am curious, and I'll go ahead and bring it back up since, all that stuff. Dreamer, you don't have the excuse of, I don't have access to her server. You know we did. How did the logs? Could have asked by your own values, where you sit there and you try your best to bludgeon me with the FCK, even though you've been told you're wrong multiple times by multiple sources. You just actually don't care. And you can just admit that. Just say, I actually don't care about any of this. I'm just mad, Lio, that you didn't do what I wanted because I'm not used to hearing no. Be a lot easier to handle than you attempting to moral flag and failing miserably because you don't have anything consistent to bounce off of.
You won't even give me the Fennec DMs. Why would you give me the Psylogs?
Exactly. I'm not going to give you the Fennec DMs. I owe you nothing. I owe you nothing. And this was before you got real stupid with me, sport.
You gotta love when people who aren't the least bit intimidating try to sound tough. You better believe my timbers be shivering after he pulled out the sport on him. Gee willikers, you sure are rustling up my jimmies. What are we even fucking doing here, folks? Lio screaming about how Dreamer can't use the excuse that they didn't have access to Psy's server because Lio has the Psy log. And when Dreamer says, well, where are the Psy logs? Lio's response isn't to give the Psy logs over, but rather to say, I don't know you have a Psy logs, I don't owe anyone the Psy log. So like, why did you even bring it up, dude? Either you have them or you don't. If you really wanted to prove your case, why not just show the evidence? I'm in Psy's Discord server, and I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. All I know is he's big mad that this person didn't make a video that he wants them to make, and yet he refuses to give the evidence needed in order to make the video he's bitching about not being made. On top of that, Lio claims that Dreamer doesn't actually care about Courtney Pete being a danger to kids because Dreamer did not call rain on Courtney.
Yeah, and you've said a lot of things about me you refuse to put evidence to. So let me ask you again, since you want to avoid the question. Did you call rain on Courtney?
No.
Then you don't believe she's a danger to kids.
Now, I don't know if Lio just doesn't understand how the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network works, or if he's being deliberately dishonest here by saying that if you don't call rain on somebody, then you don't think they're a threat. I don't know how a self-professed predator hunter doesn't understand how rain works, but you don't call it to report people who you suspect of being dangerous to others. You call it when a sexual assault has occurred so that they can help you find legal representation, help you get in contact with law enforcement, and coach you through the very complicated legal system. If you called them to report Courtney Pete talking inappropriately with minors and saying she wants to kill herself, they would be unequipped to help you with your situation. If you really feel like you have to get law enforcement involved, which with the Courtney Pete situation, I don't think law enforcement needs to get involved, but I do think she is still a danger to herself and others. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a cyber tip line that anyone can put an anonymous tip in about an individual they are concerned about. But I don't think that is a prerequisite for being able to say that you personally believe that someone is a danger to kids, especially when said individual is the incredibly unstable Courtney Pete, who in my personal opinion, I believe should get off the internet entirely because this is clearly not healthy for her. But I find it especially hypocritical that fucking Lio Convoy is calling out other people for not giving a shit because they didn't call an agency he didn't know existed until someone else called him out for this exact behavior, despite the fact that this is not something Rain handled. But no, because Dreamer didn't contact an agency that would be unequipped to handle the situation in the first place, Lio accuses Dreamer of being a liar. And in doing so, he challenges Dreamer to prove that the screenshots that he used in his Courtney Pete video are real. This is the same guy who, by his own admission, doesn't owe anybody the logs, just trust him. Dreamer calls Lio a pussy at this point. And wouldn't you know it, that just really butters Leo's biscuits. So Lio does the rational, sane thing a 40-plus-year-old man would do after being called a pussy in a Discord call, and threatens to beat a child. Actually, how old is Dreamer? I don't even know how old Dreamer is, but he sounds young. But Lio has a Winter Soldier flashback to when he was a youth getting beaten by his own father, and has a 10-gallon crash out.
Prove to me they're real. How do you know they're real?
Well, Courtney admitted it, so.
Courtney admitted what? And where?
That the DMs.
Where?
That the DMs.
Where? Where did Courtney admit it?
When she was arguing with you in Cat Slayer, you fucking retard.
Show the DMs then.
Courtney wasn't arguing with me. What are you on about?
Yeah, because you're not gonna do that.
You're not going to do that. No, I'm going to ask you again.
You gotta get your friends to do it because you're too much of a pussy to do it.
I'm doing it right now, Mushmouth, so pay attention to what I'm telling you. I know your daddy didn't give you any discipline, but I'm about to. I'm about to smack you across your mouth. Let's continue this, all right? Before I got to take my belt off and give you the discipline daddy didn't because daddy's too soft on you because mommy died. Anyways, on to what I was going to say.
So like I said, in my opinion, Lio hasn't really changed. He's still investing way too much of his time fighting internet battles with people who are half his age or younger. He's still threatening physical violence onto people, and he still leads these large dogpiling sessions and voice calls. Just because he's not luring psychologically damaged kittens to live with him, and because he allegedly doesn't dox people anymore, somehow we're meant to believe that this is a changed man. But I don't see that. I still see someone who is just as toxic and abusive as he's always been, and he's always probably going to continue to be. You can't change who you are as a person if you don't change your environment and the people you surround yourself with. And Lio hasn't done either of those things. And if you think Lio has grown past his previous behavior of exposing private information in a way to bully and harass people, then let this next section serve as a refutation to that idea. Just have to slow down. 1 month from the recording of this audio segment on June 20th, 2025, Lio Convoy would upload a stream in which he and several other content creators mercilessly picked apart and ridiculed a Google Doc that, among other things, contained a graphic and explicit recounting of a traumatic, chemically induced abortion that one of Lio's former friends, one of his former kittens, as he would put it, had gone through. This Google document was not public. In fact, according to Patchwork, this Google document was made 2 years ago and shared to a Discord server that no longer even exists. On top of that, Patchwork claims to have left the commentary community quite some time before Lio even made this stream. And this is why I disagree with those who try to defend Lio. I feel like on the internet, people only focus on the part of doxing that involves revealing identifying information against people, such as addresses, full names, and IP addresses. But that's not the full definition. Publishing any private information in order to maliciously harangue someone is also considered a form of doxing. And despite Lio saying he had no intentions of mocking Patchwork's trauma, in the live stream, when he and his sycophantic ghouls are reading through Patchwork's DMs, I find that quite the opposite is true. You would be hard-pressed to try to convince me that this is not mocking someone's trauma.
I never want to get pregnant ever again. Then wear fucking condoms, you dumb bitch. Sorry, no, I just want to point out someone was like, "Oh, they found black market abortion meds." Someone said that in chat, and I said, "You can order mifepristone for cheap," and for some reason, YouTube blocked my comment.
Lamau.
I point that out.
Black market abortion. And I'm just gonna say it since Vlad's not in call, and I'm not bringing him in. Doggone it. Coat hangers are really cheap at Walmart, anyways.
But at least you finally got them. The abortion meds, of course.
And I'm about to just punch up Patch's text here by reading it off in the frickin' Frieza voice if this keeps up. I had to get an abortion because the pregnancy was too dangerous to go to term. I couldn't afford to go to Planned Parenthood. They don't take my insurance. So I had to do it myself at home. And it went really, 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 really badly. And when I told him that I was feeling broken and violated, like Broly did to me that one time, there was no response.
This is irreconcilably deplorable. I have to ask, how does anybody excuse this indefensible behavior? I could not imagine myself maintaining any level of familiarity with a person who is so morally bankrupt and maligned. And I want to make it clear, I'm not defending Patchwork's accusations in this Google Doc. I didn't even know these people existed until I started researching for this video, so I'm not going to make any judgment calls on what was said in the Google Doc itself. I am solely concerned with the amount of immaturity and lack of respect given to such serious topics from someone who claims to be a victim advocate. And I gotta ask to those who excuse Lion's behavior by saying that they disagree with it or that he's stupid or whatever, but they're still going to associate with him. Why is it that when he does things like this, that you cannot find the words to make a detailed refutation of what you find disagreeable with this man's actions? Brushing off everything he does as Lio being Lio, or Lio being an idiot, or Lio being retarded, or however you want to phrase that, doesn't get to the heart of the matter of how toxically malignant this man is. If anything, it downplays his actions. And I find it insane that anyone still thinks we should give Lio Convoy a chance, especially after the things he's done in his past, which in my honest opinion are completely irredeemable. And if you're watching this video still on the fence on whether or not we should condemn Lio Convoy, this next part might change your mind. Lio Convoy and another creator by the name of Vita had been alerted that a person by the name of Jordan was being sexually assaulted in their home life. And from what I can gather, Vita and Lio were trying to crowdfund enough money for Jordan to eventually be able to leave. The advice in the meantime that Lio and Vita had given to Jordan was to set up hidden cameras to record himself getting raped so that they would have evidence against his abuser. Fucking kill me. So you know how Lio was spurging out because Dreamer didn't call Rain on Courtney, even though Rain would be unequipped to do anything against Courtney Pete? Well, this would be a situation that instead of directing a child to record themselves being fucking assaulted, that you would call the Rain hotline for. Or at the very least, common sense would dictate you should at least call fucking 911. But unfortunately for Jordan, the exploitation only continues to grow as his association with Lio continues. Vita, one of the people who was working with Lio Convoy in order to quote-unquote rescue Jordan from their abusive home life, ended up grooming and sexually harassing Jordan for a period of 5 fucking years. This culminated in another content creator by the name of fucking Misanthropony getting involved with Lio and Jordan on a live stream where Jordan reads a Google Doc that he made against Vita, outlining all of the traumatic abuse that he had suffered from Vita. Before Jordan even begins talking, he states that he had just had a panic attack and he apologizes if his voice is shaky because, like he has said, he just had a panic attack before they went live. It would later come out that during this live stream, Vita had been texting Jordan saying that he was going to kill himself if Jordan didn't get off the stream and call him. I have to fucking ask for my sanity. Why is nobody intervening here? Rather than ending the stream like a responsible person would in order to comfort Jordan about this extremely stressful event, instead they continue on with the live stream. I just realized, why in the fuck did nobody get Jordan to block Vita by this point? Like, I mean, surely after the Google Doc was written, there had to be a thought crossed in someone's fucking head. Hey, maybe we should fucking get this kid away from the abuser. Why did nobody step in? Now, apparently this Vita person was arrested. However, I have found conflicting coverage on whether or not that had anything to do with the Jordan stuff or not. But I do know that from here, Lio would actually move Jordan in to his fucking house. Jordan is one of the most well-known examples of this phenomena in the Lio history books, where Lio basically has these pseudo-adopted children that he calls his found family. I personally think that this was a wildly unethical and irresponsible move on Leo's part, but who am I to say an emotionally unstable 40-year-old man who makes coat hanger abortion jokes couldn't provide a healing environment for someone who has been abused and victimized for a large part of his life. So anyways, Lio used Jordan as bait to lure pedos into his Discord server so that he could shame them pedos with a stern talking to over voice call on Discord. I'm sorry, but what the fuck are we doing here, folks? Eventually, this maladaptive, toxic friendship would have an endpoint, however, with Jordan ultimately alleging that Lio had been verbally abusive and had disowned him, among other things. Lio, however, would claim that Jordan took advantage of him. Keep in mind, with the timeline of events, Lio had first met Jordan when Jordan was 13 to 14 years old, and while Jordan was an adult when he was inevitably kicked out of Leo's found family, I cannot for any stretch of the imagination believe in a 40-plus-year-old man being taken advantage of and manipulated by someone who is literally half his fucking age. Besides, even if that is the case, isn't using Jordan as a worm on a hook for Ichabod a much more stark version of taking advantage of someone? If we were to believe Lio Convoy's version of events, then in my opinion this is simply mutualism. But I'm much more obliged to believe Jordan when he says Lio is verbally abusive. After all, this is the guy that told one of his previous friends to get a coat hanger abortion. But remember, he's changed, guys. He hasn't done something on the scale of a Rosa call ever since the Senate was deleted. Is that truly the bar for redemption here? Is that truly where we are going to set our standards for Lio Convoy being a changed man? If we are so dead set on using the Rosa call as a metric for whether or not Lio Convoy is redeemed, then let's do that. First, let's look upon if Lio is still leading these accountability calls in these massive voice chats on public Discord servers. I would argue that the voice call that he had with Dreamer and a bunch of randos counts as an accountability call. In the Rosa call, we had a bunch of people yelling at this person because she didn't ban a predator from a Discord server that Rosa did not even own, despite Rosa apparently being given evidence by these people of this person's misconduct. Similarly, in the Dreamer call, a bunch of people were mad that Dreamer wasn't making a video exposing Psy for allegations that they refused to prove. So Lio hasn't stopped doing these accountability calls. Well then, let's examine if Lio has stopped making threats of physical violence against people. In the Rosa call, Lio calls Rosa a mushmouth and says, I want you to understand that this is a hypothetical and not a threat, because I know you're gonna think this is a threat. But if I yelled at you and I punched you in the face, which would be worse? Which in my humble opinion is the abuser equivalent of no homo. A hypothetical can also be a threat. The terms are not mutually exclusive. Similarly, when Dreamer called Lio a pussy, Lio also called Dreamer a mushmouth and said that he was going to take his belt off and give him the discipline that Daddy never did, which is such a fucking cringe sentence. So no, Lio still makes violent threats against people. Lastly, let's discuss if Lio has stopped doxing private information about people he does not like. To which the answer we all know is no. He released private information from a Google Doc that has not been public for the better part of 2 fucking years, just so that he could mock and humiliate and terrorize one of his former friends. And what was the crime that Patchwork had committed in order to deserve this level of treatment from Lio? Patchwork had criticized Lio in a public video. So just like in the Rosa Call, what justifies this level of harassment and abuse is nothing more than having opinions that differ from Lio fucking Convoy. Lio Convoy has not fucking changed. The degree of severity of his maliciousness may have decreased over time, but he's fundamentally the same person he's always been. And with all that being said, thank you for watching. That's all I got.